New reports are emerging from Jerusalem that the ancient Golden Gate, sealed for nearly 500 years, may be showing signs of structural movement. What we're about to share with you could be the most significant development in biblical prophecy since Israel became a nation in 1948. If these reports are accurate, we could be witnessing the literal fulfillment of ancient biblical prophecy before our very eyes. For those unfamiliar with this remarkable piece of biblical history, let me bring you up to speed. The Golden Gate, also known as the Eastern Gate, sits on the eastern wall of Jerusalem's Old City, directly facing the Mount of Olives. This isn't just any gate. It's the gate that biblical prophecy says the Messiah will enter through when he returns to Jerusalem. In 1541 A.D., Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent ordered this gate to be permanently sealed with stone blocks. Historical records show this was done specifically to prevent the Jewish Messiah from entering through it, as Islamic leaders knew about the biblical prophecies surrounding this entrance. But here's where it gets extraordinary. By sealing the gate, they actually fulfilled the very prophecy they were trying to prevent. Let's examine the biblical evidence. In Ezekiel chapter 44, verses 1 through 2, the prophet describes a vision of the future temple. Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east, and it was shut. Then said the Lord unto me, This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it. The prophecy is clear. This eastern gate would remain shut until a specific person arrives. Ezekiel continues, Because the Lord, the God of Israel, hath entered in by it, therefore it shall remain shut. Zechariah 14:4 provides additional crucial details. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. The biblical narrative is consistent across multiple prophets. The Messiah will return to the Mount of Olives and enter Jerusalem from the east. Recent seismic monitoring and archaeological surveys in the Jerusalem area have reportedly detected unusual activity near the Eastern Gate. Sources close to the Jerusalem Archaeological Park have indicated that ground-penetrating radar and structural analysis have revealed potential shifts in the gate's foundation. While official statements from the Israeli Antiquities Authority remain limited, independent geological surveys have documented increased seismic activity in the region, particularly around the Temple Mount area where the Eastern Gate is located. These findings are significant because the gate has remained structurally unchanged for centuries, despite earthquakes, wars, and numerous construction projects in the surrounding area. To understand the significance of these potential developments, we need to examine the prophetic timeline that began in the 20th century. In 1948, Israel became a nation again after nearly 2,000 years, fulfilling Jesus' parable of the fig tree in Matthew 24:32-34. This was the first major prophetic milestone of the modern era. Then in 1967, during the Six-Day War, Israel recaptured Jerusalem, including the Temple Mount and the Eastern Gate, for the first time since 70 A.D. This brought the prophetic pieces back under Jewish control. From 1987 to the present day, we've seen growing movements among Orthodox Jewish groups to rebuild the Third Temple, with architectural plans, priestly training, and temple implements already prepared. The infrastructure for biblical prophecy has been steadily developing, and now, in 2024 and 2025, reports are emerging of structural changes near the Eastern Gate itself. Each of these events aligns with biblical prophecy about the restoration of Israel and the end times. The movement of the Eastern Gate becomes even more significant when we consider the biblical prophecies about the Third Temple. Both Daniel 9:27 and Revelation 11:1-2 describe a rebuilt temple in Jerusalem that will play a crucial role in end-time events. The Antichrist, according to 2 Thessalonians 2:4, will eventually sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. This prophecy requires the temple to be rebuilt before these events can occur. Archaeological evidence shows that the most direct access to the Temple Mount's original holy site would be through the Eastern Gate. If the gate is indeed experiencing structural changes, it could be part of the divine preparation for these prophesied events. Historical accounts suggest that Jesus entered Jerusalem through the Eastern Gate during his triumphal entry, as recorded in Luke 19:37-38. He came from the Mount of Olives, riding on a donkey, fulfilling Zechariah 9:9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee, he is just, and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass. But biblical prophecy indicates his second coming will be dramatically different. Revelation 19:11-16 describes him returning on a white horse as the conquering King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The same gate that may have welcomed the suffering servant could soon open for the returning king. Adding another layer to this prophetic puzzle, Ottoman authorities didn't just seal the gate, they placed a Muslim cemetery directly in front of it. This was based on the belief that the Jewish Messiah, being a priest, would be ritually defiled by walking through a cemetery and therefore couldn't enter. However, biblical prophecy in Zechariah 14:4 indicates that when the Messiah returns, the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. This suggests a massive geographical change that would remove any human-made barriers. One crucial aspect that prophecy students must consider is the warning about false messiahs. Jesus warned in Matthew 24:24 that false Christs and false prophets shall rise and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. The Antichrist, according to biblical prophecy, will likely attempt to fulfill messianic expectations, possibly including entering through the eastern gate. This is why it's crucial to understand that the true Messiah's return will be unmistakable. As the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Matthew 24:27. Interestingly, geological surveys have identified a fault line running east-west through the Mount of Olives, exactly where Zechariah 14:4 prophesies it will split when the Messiah returns. This fault line has been dormant for centuries, but recent seismic activity in the region has increased. Could the structural changes at the Eastern Gate be connected to broader geological preparations for the fulfillment of this specific prophecy? Luke 21:24 provides another crucial piece of the prophetic puzzle. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Since 1967, Jerusalem has been under Jewish control for the first time in nearly 2,000 years. If the Eastern Gate is indeed moving, it could signal that the times of the Gentiles are reaching their prophetic conclusion. If these reports about the Eastern Gate are accurate, we could be witnessing the beginning of the most significant prophetic period in human history. The convergence of Israel's restoration, Jerusalem's return to Jewish control, preparations for the Third Temple, and now potential movement in the Messiah's prophetic entrance point suggests we're living in unprecedented times. Biblical prophecy indicates that these end-time events will unfold rapidly once they begin. Jesus warned that when these signs appear, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Luke 21:32. What we may be witnessing is the preparation phase for events that will reshape human history. The sealed gate that has stood unchanged for 500 years may be loosening in preparation for the return of the one who has the authority to open it. Psalm 24:7-10 prophetically declares, "Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in." Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. While we must be cautious about unverified reports and avoid setting specific dates, the potential movement of the Eastern Gate represents a development that every student of biblical prophecy should monitor closely. The Bible repeatedly instructs believers to watch for the signs of the times. Matthew 24:42 says, "Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come." If the Eastern Gate is indeed moving after 500 years of being sealed, it could be the most significant prophetic sign since Israel's rebirth as a nation. The gate that has waited centuries for the Prince of Peace may be preparing to fulfill its prophetic destiny. We'll continue monitoring this developing story and provide updates as more information becomes available. The times we're living in demand our attention, our prayers, and our readiness for what may be the most significant period in human history. This has been a prophetic news update. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep watching.